Hey everybody, welcome back inside the stash. Today we're going to take a quick look at a few things I'm working on here. I'm not going to have the big, intro of man versus Tommy a kit thing because we've been working on actually a couple of things, and just sort of wanted to catch up with that and got to go pick my kid up in a couple of minutes. So I want to touch on a couple, like I said, a couple of things that I've been working on here, as well as a couple of projects that we will be starting pretty much as soon as these roll off. Because one of these two things, which I don't think I've actually covered on this recently, because it was an older project that I've sort of restarted, is getting pretty much into the final phases. Apparently, I have my volume turned up on my computer all the way too. Ill prepared for making this video. So we're going to take a look at, I said, a few things here. We'll spin the camera around real quick and be right back. All right, so first up, we have the completed, almost, I've got to put the review mirror in still, interior for a BMW Z4 GT3 car. This is basically a car I had started working on a while ago. People who watched this channel for a really long time may recall that this was going to be a different livery. The car had been painted black. The decals, through my own fault. I can't blame the decals. It wasn't the decals' fault. But the decals and I did not get along, and I ended up borking the livery. I have repurchased the livery to do some other time, but I've decided to go ahead and go with a different livery package, mainly because this was sitting around effectively done as far as this particular format you see here for a while now. All of these pieces were completed for the exception of the roll cage and the actual detail painting on the steering wheel itself, all of these itty-bitty little knobs that are painted a bunch of different little colors. All of this stuff was done. The cage just obviously just needed to be cleaned up and assembled, and the dash was done. All of these little things in here are actually little pieces of decal that come with the kit itself. And then, this is painted. Basically, it's just, this is Tommy a flat white acrylic. The actual interior tub itself is just white primer. And I said, it was a situation where, the project fell apart on me, and it sat in boxes, in pieces, and it was just like, why am I not working on this sort of thing? So, like I said, went ahead and got this, put together. Basically, the chassis is also something that if you watched our live streams, you saw me working on the chassis, which apparently, let's say this is like way too close now. But you've seen me work on the chassis in terms of painting, getting the brakes put on, painting the wheels, and doing the tires and stuff like that. So the chassis itself is done, with the exception of the front and rear splitter pieces, which are separate on this kit, and needs a little dusting because it's been sitting out, but you'll never see any of this anyway. So it's pretty much ready to rock and roll. This plugs into here like that, and then I did a test fit of the whole thing, putting the body on. So if I remember, I'll put pictures up of what that looks like. So there's a little white edge here. That's how tight the body fits to this, that it actually scraped the paint off. So it's not a lot of tolerance on this. And then this right here, not painted, but it's finally in prep stage, is the body for the Z4. It's going to be a white car. The slam locks for the trunks and the hood are actually already installed, although this is sort of washing out now. There's so much light. Normally I would not install them, mainly because in most of these Z4s and other GT3 cars, the slam locks are different colors in the car. Usually they're semi-gloss black. But in this one, when I have the livery, the pictures of the real car to prove it, these slam locks are white, which is kind of a different little take. Usually the slam locks, like I said, are not body color. But everything else is done. All the sanding lines are molded off. This is just some Sharpie where the mold line was. It got down into the actual, mold, or into the trunk seam. I can't do anything with, so it's just going to get painted over, and then we'll panel line it when it's done. But yeah, so this is, like I said, this is going to go into primer. Probably not today because I've just got too much stuff going on, but within the next couple of days. I've sort of been slow walking this thing into paint, mainly because obviously this whole back grill area here and then this whole front grill area here needs to be semi-gloss black. And I don't really want to mask off the entire thing and spray paint that. Also, this trim on this right here is gloss black, and then there's semi-gloss black trim across the top of here. But these pockets right here remain white. And then I have carbon fiber that goes around the back and over those window arches. So those won't get, these won't get painted. They'll just get the decals put on them. But I had been wanting to go and get some more paint, some acrylic semi-gloss black, mainly because I want to shoot that part through the airbrush. Now, I've got these two airbrush rigs that I bought that I've effectively never really used beyond just fiddling around with them a little bit. And, you know, I'm going to test it out. This body I'll just spray paint with Tamiya Pure White because it'll just be easier than you know, dealing with mixing up, or not mixing up, but using up some white paint I have for another project right now with all of the various issues with gravity and getting paint from them right now. So I have the paint. Finally, I have the semi-gloss black paint coming. It really was a point where, if you follow this channel, you know that I was out of work and I really just wasn't in a position to go buy a whole bunch of paint. So I've got a bunch of paint. Basically, I want to dedicate a number of colors, semi-gloss black and a couple other things, to the airbrush, and basically by taking and mixing the thinner into the paint, so that they will be dedicated airbrush paint, and I don't have to sit there and try to measure out and meter in thinner and stuff like that. So there's that. One little thing we have here would be the mirror faces for the Z4. There's on this kit a separate part that was attached to the wheels, and these have the Molotow chrome on them. So letting those sit for a couple more days before we screw around with them, because Molotow is pretty sturdy, really. A lot of people will say it isn't, but it's pretty sturdy when you just leave it be and do its thing and dry out completely. So the other thing we've been working on, and this, of course, is what the video series is about, is this is the completed chassis for the Honda S800, or 600. What am I building? 800, right? Yeah, 600. It is Tamiya, so relatively speaking, there weren't any real issues with this build as of yet. Since the last time you guys have seen this, I don't think I've actually had this together the last time you saw this. I've shown pictures of it to different people, but I think the last time you guys saw this, it was just a frame and pieces. So this is obviously completely assembled now. It is a little leaning tower of power, a little Honda motorcycle engine that is attached to a transaxle and a drive shaft. But otherwise, this is a lot of motorcycle technology in this. And these back here obviously look like motorcycle swing arms. Like I said, it's a good kit. I have not had any fit issues with it whatsoever. The only thing I would say, that if you're going to build this kit, and probably its twin sister, the S800, because the S800 is technically the kit that came first, is that the wheel mounts on this are a little, you can see, they're just still a little wobbly. The way this is designed to go together, there are very, very small posts and pins that go into attaching these wheels to the chassis. And in that, they don't really have much to grip onto. So you end up with the poly cap being attached inside of the wheel itself. And I gotta paint something there. Yeah, always good to see, get a chance to look at things. But it gives, like I said, it gives this sort of wobbliness to the wheels. I mean, it's not like the wheels are gonna fall off. They're on there. They were gonna get epoxied next if they didn't stay on, because they didn't want to stay on with these pins, but they are kind of floppy. So, you know, it's one of the things where if you're going to put it down for display, you're going to make sure that it's not, none of these wheels have a camber that you're not looking for. They're not going to tripod. It's level, but it's just, they're kind of wobbly. And that's really, said, is the only sticking point with this build so far. Like I said, I'm not really particularly thrilled about how that attaches. But otherwise, you can see here, like I said, the frame was Tamiya semi-gloss black. Everything else in here is Tamiya acrylics of one sort or another. semi-gloss black. This is going to be straight up chrome silver, along with the bands being chrome silver. The pipes themselves are steel, and then the faces on the wheels themselves are silver. The engine is a combination of aluminum and silver. There's some black pieces in here. This little black nub right here will represent the distributor, basically. It's got some teeny tiny little decals for the on top of the radiator, and you have a little radiator hose, and the radiator cap is a separate piece. So it's a nice little detailed pieces for what it is, but still kind of simplified at the same time. I have these. Let me grab it with something. I don't want to get fingerprints all over them because they're chrome and they just pick up every bit of oil on your fingers. I have these. These are the wheel covers, basically the hubcaps, right? So these had crappy attachment points. This is an older engineered Tamiya kit. The attachment points were not underneath like most wheels are. They were just side attachment points like you would get with a regular car. So the attachment points themselves have been Molotov, so you can't tell where I cut it off the sprue. Go ahead, tell me where I cut it off. I'll wait. You can't. And then I've got the center part here in a little bit of clear red. I'm going to give that another coat of clear red, and then I'm going to go back in with some thinner and take it off the raised Honda logo, and then that will be the wheels that, obviously go on here like this. So some reference pictures. They don't ever tell you in the instructions to paint those, but some reference photos I have of the real car. The center cap of the hubcap has a red background to it, and it seems to be sort of an anodized aluminum look, where it's not a solid red, but sort of almost looks like somebody painted it clear red over the silver. So I guess that's it for this stuff. So let's go into pictures here. The next stuff that's going to be working onto the bench as those two come off, because I want to keep, I'm juggling plates like I always do when I build, are going to be this BMW M3, which represents the 1993 gear race in Macau car. This is the winning car for that race. I wish I could find you real pictures of the real car, because that's what I wanted to do. However, for whatever reason, they're next to impossible to find. I found one teeny tiny little picture that it's so small and ridiculous that it would be pointless to try to show you in that sense. But this is a good 90s livery, in the sense that you have loudspeakers and audio sponsorship, and I love the Video Magic laser disc thing. That's fantastic. Really takes you back to a certain time and place in your life if you're old enough, because laser discs, there's a whole generation of people who don't even know what a laser disc is. And then the other project we're going to get started, because these are both SK Decal products, and we have those decals are en route as we speak, would be the building of this, which is the 2016 FIA GT Macau race. This is the RAL Motor Oil sponsorship. They entered their car obviously in the last race of the season, and basically, for all intents and purposes, this car is identical to the livery that comes with the actual kit itself. This is pretty much the exact kit livery. Obviously, the big changes are the associate sponsorships, the number placards being for that race specifically, the fact that Nicky Katzberg is the solo driver of this. He was part of their team driver program that season in a couple of different races, and he was ultimately the driver they chose to go with this in 2016. 2017, they went with a different driver and had a different number. It was actually a 99 instead of just 9. But this kit, should be buildable directly from the kit itself, and then the livery, the little changes to the livery decals, which is something that Frankie and I had worked on getting done. So we'll see if he's planning to do the 2017 version or not. He's got, we've covered on the stash report itself the 2017 decals he's working on. I'm going to try to get him to do the 99 car so that I can build, because the decals are pretty much identical to the kits, but just has some different associate sponsorships. So anyway, guys, that about wraps it up for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.